When I share a screen, you may have to like give permission to just be.
Okay.
I just got this on as an example for everybody else.
I know, I just wanted to, because I can't see
Yeah.
otherwise.
I'm fine.
I'm ready.
Call the meeting to order. Everyone that could and would like to stand, please stand. Mark is going to do the invocation.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love and your mercy and your grace, Lord, as we meet tonight. Lord, give us direction. Lord, help us to make the best decisions for our citizens, Lord. And we just thank you for your blessings each and every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Item number 5 is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Item 6,
Mayor.
proclamations.
Mayor, we need to poll the board. We need to poll the board.
Okay.
So we have a motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hines. Is that right?
Yes.
I'll poll the board, starting with Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Mayor, I believe we have all votes in favor of approving the agenda as presented.
Okay. Item number 6, proclamations. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to share with you all tonight. We have several proclamations that I will just give a summary of. The first one is the National Day of Prayer. Would say, unfortunately, it was last week, but we still did want to recognize that last week was the National Day of Prayer.
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday, correct. National Emergency Medical Services Week. That is for the week of May 16th through the 22nd. And of course, the importance of our emergency medical services personnel.
Do we need a motion to approve those?
Wait a minute, I got a couple more, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of course, also, we're a little one day behind with Mother's Day, but we couldn't help but not recognize all the mothers from that yesterday was Mother's Day.
Yeah.
We have National Public Works Week. That is for May 16th through the 22nd also. And that's focusing on the public works professionals that serve both our town as well as across the country. National Police Week is May 9th through the 15th. So that's this week that we're in right now. And that is to show the importance of law enforcement both in town and across our country. And lastly, coming up is Memorial Day, May 31st, 2021, where we remember our debt to those who have died so that we might live in freedom. And Mayor, there's no action required on these. Just wanted them to be recognized, and they are be entered into the agenda or into the minutes.
Thank you, Don. Okay, item number 7 is the public hearing on the public hearing on the zoning ordinance amendment.
Mayor and council, I'm gonna let Brian handle his presentation. It's pretty lengthy and involved, and I didn't want to mess it up, so he's gonna handle the slideshow.
Bear with me 1 second.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council. As always, it's really my pleasure to be in front of you tonight. Like Terry said, this is going to be a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to try to go through it as brief as possible. If you guys got any questions while I'm going, you guys know I can speak fast, so just slow me down and stop me if you got any questions. All right, but we'll get right into it. So, these are town staff initiated zoning ordinance amendments. Just a quick summary, and we'll go through each of these in a little bit more detail. So the first one we'll go through is mini warehouses. These are just self-storage units, so we're proposing to limit these to just industrial district. Moving down to the second one, this is a little housekeeping. There's still a reference to Pitt County building inspections in our ordinance, so we want to make sure we take that out. So we're not affiliated with them anymore. We don't have any interlocal agreements anymore with them. And then the fourth one, the special requirement 23 to ABC sales for on-premise consumption. Going to propose to exclude the property separation within just the central business zoning district. And then section 10.5, multifamily residential design standards. This is a totally new section we'll be proposing to add to the ordinance. So mini warehouses, proposal is to remove from all zoning districts except from industrial, and then also add self-storage units to the use type description for clarification. So mini warehouses is kind of antiquated or old term, so we want to make sure we add self-storage units in there. Reason behind this is the character and design and land use are generally not complementary to residential areas of the town, and typically they're just large metal buildings with numerous roll-up doors, and they have a lot of impervious surface with stormwater ramifications of that. So obviously the town's got limited land, so we're just trying to make sure we put these in the appropriate place. So you can see here, in your summary that was in your packet, everything that we're adding is highlighted in yellow, and everything we're taking away is the strike through red. So really, you're seeing that you're just adding the self-storage units, and then in the permitted use table, taking away everything there except for the last column where we permitted by right in industrial. Any questions on that? All right, moving forward to the section 14.2. This is where Pitt County was still referenced in there. This is when Pitt County actually did building inspections for the town. Obviously, we don't have an interlocal agreement with them. We have our own inspections department. So like I said, this is just housekeeping, removing that from that part of the ordinance, and clarify that it is the town's responsibility and regulatory authority to have that service. Section 6.5, special requirements of the table of permitted uses. So this is section, or special requirement 23, ABC sales for on-premise consumption. So this would be proposals to exclude property within the central business district from the separation requirements. So the language would read as follows: no such establishment shall be located within 200 feet of a church, elementary, secondary school, public park, or residentially zoned property. And then the added language would be property separation shall not be required in the central business district.
Brian,
Yes, sir.
we have a school
Okay.
beside this places. Are we considered a public school?
As far as the driving school goes,
Mhm.
I don't think so. You're a private.
But
Yes.
private schools? So
Well, so I guess the thought behind it is the central business district is the heart and soul of the town. So we want to make sure we're able to accommodate our restaurants and accommodate our breweries. And to be perfect.
how about accommodation of people who live close by? I've had to call the police a number of times in the last few weeks about the loud noise at night. Even in my business on Wednesday nights, I have class. You try to have class over the noise next door. Is anything for that written in these ordinances?
For the zoning, it would not, I mean, obviously, you're talking about,
Noise
noise
ordinance.
would-
Just comment,
would-
we
yeah.
consider it, so.
And I will add that, the main entrance of the other requirements will still be in place. The main entrance of the building shall be toward property zones for non-residential uses, and any parking related would have to be, the 30 feet from the property line abutting the residential zone property. So those things will still apply. I think, the intent, like I said, is just to create an atmosphere where, current building wouldn't be limited to a restaurant, or wouldn't exclude a restaurant or a bar that would be in our central business.
So we could have 5 bars in a row.
According to our zoning ordinance, yes, sir.
Okay, I'll vote against that one.
Any more questions? All right, so this is the crux of it. So this will be the most lengthy one we go through. So when we went through our comprehensive land use plan, one of our big things was talking about multifamily developments and establishing some architectural design standards. So this is what we've done. Staff has gone through and researched throughout the state kind of what's been required, and we found some really good language. So we like this as a good first attempt, and I think this will accomplish what we're looking for. So 6.2 of section 6.2 of our comprehensive land use plan does have a policy or a strategy to require that higher density developments, townhomes and apartments meet design criteria that emphasize architectural detail, quality materials, streetscape standards, amenities and open space, landscaping and street trees to improve design and reduce impact. So council was continuously voice concerns over multifamily developments. I think a valid concern of that. So with these, we hope to kind of bolster the approval process for these and to make sure that if and when a multifamily development comes to town, there will be a quality product out there. And that's just kind of just highlight, you can see here where that is listed in the comprehensive land use plan. So just start off. I'm going to try not to read verbatim, but some of these things I'm going to have to. So the start of it, these multifamily residential design standards supplement the applicable zoning district and use-specific standards of this ordinance by providing the minimum requirements for design and configuration of multifamily development within the town's planning jurisdiction. They are intended to, 1, ensure multifamily development takes place in a manner consistent with the context, scale, and proportion of the surroundings. 2, promote greater compatibility between new multifamily development and other allowable use types, particularly adjacent residential single-family detached dwellings. 3, establish expectations for minimum level of quality for multifamily development. 4, encourage creativity in design and promote individual project identity. 5, create neighborhoods which enhances architectural and visual interest. And 6, preserves property values and projects public and private investments. Except where expressly exempt in this ordinance, the standards of this section shall apply to the following. So this is everything that these standards would apply to. So multifamily dwellings, triplex, quadruplex dwellings, multi-unit residential structures within a continuing care retirement community use type, and new assisted living facilities and nursing homes. Basically, it's anything other than a single-family residential dwelling. So when we start off with, we look at the street network. So we're looking at on-site, including new streets, an interconnected network of streets shall be provided to the maximum extent practical. The street shall connect to adjacent existing streets outside the development, not unlike our current subdivision ordinance. Vehicular driveways into development with 10 or more dwelling units shall be at least 100 feet from any major intersection to the maximum extent practical. Driveways shall be consolidated in order to reduce curb cuts to the maximum extent practical. So we just want to make sure there's not a ton of driveways interior. So this was kind of when we started looking at the actual design of it, building orientation. Buildings that abut streets shall be oriented parallel to the street rather than being oriented at an angle to the street. So corner lots, the long axis of the building shall be parallel to the longest frontage unless such orientation is incompatible with adjacent existing development. And multi-building development shall be clustered in order to divide open space. So we want to make sure we kind of optimize the space itself. But this will be one of the figures within the ordinance as a table for reference. So you can see the design concept is to get them close to the road and kind of clustered. So this way you got open area for amenities and parking and all that good nature. So building entrances. So this is just talking about the actual pedestrians entering the buildings. Facades of buildings abutting streets shall be configured as entryways to individual dwelling units or shared entrances face the street. Accesses to upper floor dwellings shall be obtained from shared internal entries. Individual ground floor and shared entries shall be sheltered. Recessed entries at least 3 feet to the inside of the primary ground floor, and inclusion of overhead architectural treatments. So building subjects to these standards shall maintain a consistent level of architectural detailing and shall combine at least 3 of the following architectural design features. So this is one of the coolest things, or one of the better things I like about this is we actually give a list of things you can do. So all you gotta do is pick 3 from this list. So, and I won't run through all of them, but a covered porch or 1 or more dormer windows, shutters, pillars, you got corniced parapets or eaves with wide trim. So just something to integrate some architectural design, something that's gonna dress up the place a little bit. So this kind of goes back, still going through the building facades with the garage entries, loading and service utilities. All that shall not occupy more than 20% of the width of the building, so you don't want just, front facing where there's just straight garages going through. So obviously breaking that up a little bit. Let's see. So it shall be recessed at least 3 feet inwards in primary first floor for the street facing garages. And with developments with 3 or more principal buildings, they should provide variation in building size, shape, height, and color. So that just basically means that if you've got more than 3 buildings out there, they all don't look the same. Give a little bit of character. So these are just some more examples. So we're looking at, and these actually have, if you can see it, so these correlate, it actually gives you what we're talking about, and then it'll correlate where, so A is the covered porch terrace, so it's actually showing covered porch terrace right here. So everything here will correlate somewhere on the example given. So there's nothing left to really question. Like, these are the things we want. These are the things you have to show. So any questions with that so far? So again, we're still talking about design features with the building corners. So if they're adjacent to 1 or more streets, they shall include at least one of the following features. So again, we're giving them a list of what we want to see, and you can pick from that and then show it on your plans. A plaza or gathering space, a shared ground floor pedestrian entryway, a distinctive roof feature, changes in the roof type or pitch from the adjacent buildings, and upper story balconies or terraces that wrap around both sides of the corner. And again, we give a diagram and then correlating, A to A, B, B. So it shows exactly what we want. So when we're talking about building massing, so upper story facade walls should not project beyond the ground floor. In the case of 2-story buildings, the exterior facade walls of the second floor shall be in line with or set back from the first floor. In the case of 3 or more stories, upper story facade walls shall be set back. Again, here's an example. So these will be in the ordinance so they can see it. So it kind of shows the upper stories recessed and showing them set back from the first story's facades.
I got a question on that. Do we have anything available for handicap accessory for, I don't see anything pertaining to, do it make any difference about handicap accessory?
So the ADA stuff, that's going to be handled in the building code inspection. So when they actually do the building permits, they'll have to provide handicap spaces. They'll have to provide entrances for handicap accessibility. Interior, they'll have to have wide enough doorways, all that good stuff. So that's going to be handled on the building inspection side.
Okay.
So this is just going to really concentrate on the design features. Generally speaking, you're not going to see the handicap stuff presented as a design feature. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But it will be handled in building inspections. They have to have that to get a building permit. So building articulation, and articulation just really refers to the street frontage design elements. So we're talking about the streetscape, the way it's gonna look when you're riding by. So street facing buildings shall be articulated with wall offsets in the form of recesses or projections, and where provided, projections or recess shall extend from the grade to the top of the high story in line with the ground floor footprint. And again, we show a nice example, and everything's gonna correlate, showing you exactly what we're talking about, so. So we can go into roof form, talking about pitches, so we don't want flat roofs, obviously. If they do have flat roofs, they'll have to have some type of dress up around it, like a cornice roof, or so you can't have anything below a 3 to 12, or pitch would have to be include parapet walls or dimensional cornice around the flat roof. So roof forms or pitches are encouraged for small roof sections or over porches, entryways, or similar features. Buildings with eaves shall be configured that no single horizontal eave continues for more than 60 linear feet. And buildings with overhanging eaves or roof rakes shall extend at least 6 inches past supported walls. Building materials and colors. So this is going to be another one that will really ensure that we get a quality product. So the predominant exterior material shall be brick, stone, cementous, or other masonry material. Buildings subject to these standards shall include at least 2 primary exterior materials on any single building. Changes in colors and materials shall take place at internal corners or logical locations, such as a building wing, a bay, a bump out, a recess. So heavier or more bulky exterior materials shall be located beneath the lighter ones. Prohibited materials. So these are the things we're not going to allow if this proposal is approved. Following materials would be prohibited would be smooth face concrete block, corrugated metal siding, vinyl siding. That would exclude obviously windows and soffits, and synthetic stucco within 2 feet of the grade. Again, we have a nice example, and everything kind of correlates with the number or the letter, and it shows exactly what we're talking about. Accessory structures, pretty much just to say accessory structures within the development shall be located in a strategic place, mainly the side or the rear of the buildings. They shall be provided from alleys or secondary streets, and shall include exterior materials, colors, and roof form designed to be consistent with the principal structure. It should not physically obstruct pedestrian entrances, and centralized refuse collection containers shall be enclosed areas located to the rear of the principal buildings. We were just talking about the sanitary dumpsters there. So, except for nursing homes, developments subject to standards shall not include a gate or obstruction that blocks access. So we're just talking about our gated community. Off-street parking serving guests shall be evenly distributed. Shared refuse collection containers shall be evenly distributed. Detached garages or carports shall not be located between principal buildings and the street and in faces. Utilities shall be provided underground, and utility vaults shall be clustered in areas outside of required landscaping. And obviously utilities, we would consult electric and water and make sure that scheme would fit our desired outcome too. So, and with that, I'll take any questions you guys have.
Anyone have any questions?
What is the distance they need for bars in downtown Greenville?
500 feet, I think, is currently what it is.
And Aiden?
I'm not sure what Aiden's is.
And you're proposing no limit, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're proposing no distance limit, correct?
Yes, sir. Just Within the central business district.
And if you're gonna have that many, would you propose so many police officers per number of bars you have? For instance, you had 4 bars in a row, would you require police protection?
I don't know if zoning would cover police protection.
But the chief, would you propose that you would have, like downtown, we've had lots of people downtown Winterville with no police downtown at all. It's a matter of time we're gonna have some violence. It's gonna come. We know that. Anytime you have bars over a period of time, we've just been lucky so far. Chief, what are your comments there about police protection?
Chief,
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Councilman Moore. I think it would be challenging with our current staffing to actually post officers in the downtown area. Similar to Greenville, they have a downtown, well, they call it the uptown unit, and they're supplemented by ECU, and they're kind of staged around the corners of that area for such deterrent.
Are you concerned with the number of people we have downtown Winterville with no protection on weekends?
I would say that our clientele right now, at least at this particular moment in Winterville, is not the 21 to 24 college student, which helps a lot. So we have a lot of adults that have a lot to lose that are down there. Not saying that they aren't exempt to having problems. You know, I think the only forecasted restaurant / bar that you're concerned about is Tiebreakers, which is right in the middle of the main stretch, very close to Marlins, I'm sure you know. And except for noise, we haven't really had any notable calls as of yet.
Yeah, I've had to do business hours. I've had to go next door and I said, please, I can't hear our phones ringing. I couldn't hear mine ringing. That's a concern to me. And that's, I'll put later on the agenda about need a time about noise ordinance. You shouldn't infringe upon anybody else's business. Anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just was going to say, Brian, appreciate you and your staff, your limited staff, for going through and distracting items that wasn't needed anymore and updating everything so that when developers come in, they can see and know what we expect of them, you know, so it won't be any question when they come to the planning department. They know what they're getting and they know how to go about it. I appreciate you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones, is Mike Brown part of this, these guidelines or these amendments?
For
Any of these amendments for zoning? Was Mike Brown consulted?
So typically, we'll get Mike's input on it, but I don't know if Mike actually had anything noteworthy to add to it. As far as the architectural design standards, mainly Mike's concern is going to be the structural components of it. So the architectural design standards aren't structural in nature. So typically, he would just defer to us on the site plan review anyway. So he's not really going to get involved in the site plan until they start getting into building inspections.
Who's taking his place since he's out?
well, if all goes well, he'll be back in a week or so. But we've had Wayne Harrell, who's retired from the city of Greenville, works in Washington, filling in. So he's been over several times.
He's gonna be back in a week. He's doing well. It's good to hear.
He's doing well. He's gonna still have to take it easy, but yes, we're looking forward to having him back.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's good.
Any other questions? If not, I declare this is a public hearing. I declare the public hearing open. Anyone that would like to speak in favor of these changes or ordinance? Anyone like to speak in favor? Anyone would like to speak in opposition? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, what's the board's pleasure?
I make a motion that we accept the changes to the zoning, however you want, what,
Zoning ordinance.
zoning ordinance, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Got tied up.
Okay.
Mayor, I believe you have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Hines, seconded by Councilwoman Robertson, to approve the zoning amendments as presented. I'll pull the board, starting with Councilman Moore.
I'd like to make comments first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Comment
almost did
time.
that.
We consider a community, a residence community. And by having that many bars is not what it was about. Mr. Ainge, when he built this town, he put in the original land ownership that you couldn't have for the first 100 years. Now we have it. I know it's part of life. But this many without any limitations is not good for our future. I would think this would be a pro bar board. And I don't think that our religion, which you're not supposed to include, but we all do, would like for us to do this. I'm very disappointed that we've come this far down this road for more bars than we have now, especially with no parking downtown as we have now and no police protection downtown. Somebody's going to get killed. Things are going to change. More bars you let in. I'm just disappointed.
Any more discussion? Okay, I'll pull. Oh, sorry.
I mean, I see where Mr. Moore's coming from. I have no problems with what we have. I do think it's a different clientele. But I wouldn't want to see several more. I think what we have is an adequate amount. I don't know how the board addresses that without putting something in place there, but, you know, I certainly would want to be known as a, you know, in a 2-block stretch, we got 9 bars. Hey, I don't have any problems with the ones we have here, but I understand the fact that more could come in, so that is a bit concerning, and I think we need to probably look at that to some degree. I mean, if they're bringing in a restaurant, they're gonna serve drinks, okay, I understand that. To be a successful business for the most part this day and time, you gotta be able to serve mixed drinks. But exclusively bars, I do think we need to potentially take a look at that. But that's my 2 cents worth.
Are you suggesting that we do enact a moratorium on the bars in the downtown area?
I don't know that that's the right terminology. I'm not sure. I'd have to chew on that a little while.
Well, from what I'm understanding, we do a moratorium, and then it would stop for a while until we came and established some more rules, that no more would be established at this time. So,
Just a word of caution. I think the council can take a lot of actions and call it a lot of things. A moratorium has a negative connotation, so I don't know that you necessarily, particularly when you're trying to increase, you know, economic development and business in town.
That's what I was going to allude to, economic development, and also to our demographic as far as the citizens in this town. We have a mixture of families that's in this town, you know, balanced demographic, I reckon, from 25, 30, and then we have older citizens. But, you know, they're looking for a place also where they don't have to leave their town. They want to patronize their town, and they're putting money back into their economy here. But also, too, you know, I don't want to see a lot of bars, but at the same time, as long as the bars follow the protocol that we have in place, what we're supposed to do as a council, and, you know, I don't see any problem.
Well, I
I
asked
don't.
Chief the question, how often do the ABC officers patrol our downtown bars now?
Again, ABC officers, for the most part, are focused on
Nuisance.
underage drinking, fake IDs, all the things that are kind of associated with, even convenience stores sometimes are focused because they're selling to underage individuals. We luckily, don't have that element right now in Winterville. I'm in constant contact with both ALE and ABC for different reasons, the sweepstakes places or things of that nature. But we have talked to them once about maybe somebody selling some liquor out of their home, shot house or something like that, but not the bars violating any ABC ordinance or ALE, any state statute.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to also clarify that I'm not suggesting that staff is happy to look into anything council would like us to look into. I just wanted to caution everyone to exactly how we address it and what we call it.
And we do recognize that those buildings, some of those buildings stayed vacant for quite a while before we added breweries to the allowable uses in the downtown area.
And I think I picked a good choice in Old Bank as a business. I picked the best business you could have. One of the best, other than food.
And, you made a comment earlier, Mr. Moore, that the noise on Wednesday night. Have you spoken with the patrons over there? Have y'all tried to work something out? I'm just,
Yes, I have.
Okay.
They flooded my building for 2 years straight. I pumped it out every time it rained for 2 years. Hour after hour, it rained, and I cleaned it up myself with a vacuum cleaner. Nobody did anything about it. Our building inspector did not do a good job of, I thought, allowing him to put sod above my building. And that water came in and flooded inside. Finally, went to the owner of the building, not the person that owns the business, but the owner. He saw that. He saw it flood inside. They put a French drain. The person beside me promised me over and over again in my office that he would fix that problem. Nothing was done for 2 years. I didn't go to court with him as a neighbor. But I'd make you angry too. Every time it rained came beside my building for 2 years. Now I've had to go to him during the day when it gets too loud. Yeah, I've been over there. He's not been there at that time. But he gets new staff members, he doesn't train them well enough. He tells them, don't be so loud. And I get complaints every Friday, Saturday night. Now, one complained to me while I was at church Sunday. I came back and said, well, why didn't you tell me last night? And I understand we have an ordinance, but maybe look at that ordinance. Do we want to become that loud and make people want to move? Is that kind of town we want to have? I'm just concerned about the way it would turn out. You can see I'm angry about the 2 years of pumping water out every time it rained.
I understand
You'd be
that.
the same way if you're home.
Oh,
And
yeah.
since I live close to downtown, it concerns me more about loud noise. Now, I go to bed at 10 o'clock, and I don't watch TV. So I'm a little quiet in my house. I'm not a TV watcher. So it's louder for me. But thanks for your comment, though.
Any other comments, discussion?
Okay, I'll start polling the board with Councilman Moore.
I would disagree with and say no, based on the bar information. I wish that was excluded, but so this, as it presently stands, these amendments, I would be against.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Favor? Yes.
Councilman Smith,
I'll vote yes with a note that we may need to eventually look at the downtown bar
okay.
situation and distance in between.
And I'd like to ask a question once we finish.
Yeah, I need to know that before I vote, so that I know what I'm voting on.
I just wanted clarification. Are we talking about strictly bars, or are we talking about any place that serves alcohol?
Bars. I'm only, talking about, bars, that's all they serve.
Okay.
So you saying
Restaurant.
freestanding bars is a different restaurant and bar and then a bar,
That's
correct, Brian? Freestanding.
For my, if I'm taking away, you're talking about just strictly serving alcohol, no food.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Moy
I support what he has.
and Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Hines?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you was talking.
I believe we have 4 votes in favor of the amendments as presented, 1 against, but staff does understand the direction that you all would like us to monitor and look into the future of bars, just bars that don't serve food and their future places.
Now, I'm asked this question to Brian. Wouldn't a bar, a freestanding bar, wouldn't it have to be either private to be just a freestanding bar? Would it have to be private?
As far as like a membership only?
Yes,
type deal,
uh-huh.
I'm not real sure. I think you're on the right path, but if I'm scared I might be speaking above my.
All right, I think that's something that we probably need to look at too, because I think it might require membership. I don't know, I'm not for sure. Is King left the
He's
building?
down there. No, he's down
Oh,
there at the
okay.
staff table.
All right,
He's not left. the
Our
building.
chief would know.
Yeah, it may require that. I'd be honest with you, I'd want to meet with Brian and take a look at it. But
yeah, I think that probably will help us out a little bit more, because there'll be certain guidelines to become a freestanding bar, just a bar alone, I think.
Well, and I think
We
it's
don't have
also,
a freestanding bar, do we?
Ask our chief, he would know. Chief Relight,
I think we have but one that I know of.
Marlins,
kind of
What is Marlins?
It's just freestanding, no food, just bar.
I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that that would not be the case. I think Marlins chooses to be a members-only bar because that's the way they chose it to be. The brewery, neither one of the breweries serve food. They do have food trucks that come in, but neither one of those,
But there's a difference between a brewery and a bar.
well, that's why I
Well,
wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between a brewery and a
They
bar.
brew their own product. But
Right.
they also serve wine that's purchased in a bottle or someone else's, they get containers from other places and serve them.
Mhm.
So they don't only just serve their product that they make in-house.
Okay.
That's why I'm trying to get a sense of whether council is concerned about alcohol-only establishments, which would encompass, locations that serve, they may not serve liquor, but they serve alcohol beverages versus what we're calling a bar, if that makes sense.
Well,
I mean, the bars only in Greenville are not members only.
Correct.
So that leads me to believe that that's not a
Okay.
requirement, that that's a choice that the business makes.
okay. I'm just
No, I mean,
asking.
it's a
It's-
good point,
right.
because I want to make sure that we've got we were looking into and studying what you all want us to.
Right, okay.
We can look at all of it.
So,
And I will say that the intent of these amendments were not to include more bars. It's more for the restaurant type serving alcohol on premises. So it's just the way our ordinance is written. And I will, to your point about the downtown Greenville, the 500-foot rule is for between bars. So I think the pre-existing ones could stay and no new ones could be within 500 foot of an existing bar. So we can look at their language and look around the state and kind of come up with something to report back to you if that's what you guys want to see.
I would like to see that. I mean, because I think wording, restaurant, bar, versus just bar. You know, like having some type of food, you know.
I'm not understanding. You've said that we don't have any bars downtown. Right?
Marlin.
Marlin's is a bar. So we have one bar downtown.
Private.
But is I'm trying to, is your concern about the placement of bars or the placement of establishments serving alcohol?
Bars.
So I'm trying to figure out, well, those bars that's not where the noise is coming from. That's not where you're being,
Right.
it's actually a brewery that's causing you problems.
The ordinance we did, you know, for these amendments is concerning bars.
Yes. But I'm still not, well, I'll think about it, maybe it'll come together. But I'm thinking that if we were to look at something, maybe we would need to look at establishments serving alcohol, because that's where your noise is coming from. That's where your flooding is coming from.
Not anymore. They fixed
Well, I mean, I know the flooding really doesn't have to do with that, but what I'm saying is that the establishments that serve alcohol, that's causing you the problem. Marlin's is not causing you the problem.
Well, when they had the grand opening for Vanessa's, they had music outside, amplified music. And these places have an amplified music. So therefore, I can have that amplified music at my house. My whole neighborhood can listen to my music. If you allow them to do it, I can do it.
We have quite a few, Chief knows we got quite a few places that have amplified music around here.
Do you like that?
Well, it doesn't bother me so much. Usually they close up by 11. I don't hear anymore. But I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to understand, because if the bar is not causing you the problem and the breweries are, should we consider
The bar down the road,
places that serve alcohol?
in the future, that's why Greenville has a distance. They don't have that many people downtown get the bars. Once you get the name, more and more people will come, and they will come.
Yeah.
The trouble will come. Then once you get a name, the name sticks with you. Like you get in trouble, it sticks with you.
Yeah, well,
I don't agree with that.
anyway, we'll, whatever, I'm just thinking,
Because we all can repent.
Hmm?
I just said we all can repent. So, I mean, we fall in traps, but we repent and get out of them.
I'm trying to help us
so,
from getting in that situation.
I don't smoke, but I don't condemn anybody that do smoke. I mean, that's their preference. I move on with it, and if a man want to take a drink, he can take a drink.
I'm trying to understand.
I'm just saying.
What is the problem? Is the problem bars, or is it establishments serving alcohol? And I think that the way I see it is establishments serving alcohol that we would look at as far as changing code on, not bars, because you don't have but one. So,
But you might have one in the new locations that are going to be available very soon. The guy who does the appliances, that could be a bar.
If I could state, aside from some of these downtown businesses, let's just take alcohol out of the way, could generate noise that's over and above what has been put out there in the past, just because there's more people downtown, there's talking, people are laughing. They're growing pains, particularly when your downtown is right smack dab in the middle of residential all around.
That's right.
So I do think we're gonna have to kind of broaden our perspective and try to look at the challenges that we face just from a downtown that's growing and starting to thrive to some extent. And I think that noise and some of those things are gonna be an issue we have to address regardless of the alcohol component. Maybe sometimes the alcohol amplifies that, maybe it doesn't, but I think we've gotta look at it anyway. And so I think from a staff perspective, we're gonna start to try to identify, we already have, parking, noise, trash. Trash has become an issue, and just try to look at ways to bring back and report to council how we can manage those things as we grow, so that the residents and the business owners and the patrons can all live in harmony, and hopefully that sounds like it made sense.
Sounds excellent to me. Yep.
Thank you,
That's why
Terry.
you make the bucks.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, we commit that we will work on all of those things and try to stay in touch with council to make sure that we're hearing from every one of the folks that are involved.
Because no doubt in my mind, this board, even myself, you know, my arms goes out to, for growth in our downtown. And, you know, part of that is what we have available right now. So, like what Mr. Moore was saying, how do we control some of the noise? Even though we asked them for growth, but when you talk about growth, you're gonna have those pains.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna have to figure out if do we need to ask for some kind of noise barrier or some sort. I mean, it's kind of hard to control a bar noise. It's hard. Now, you're talking about the music, you're talking about the crowd, and you're talking about even the holidays have not really surfaced itself yet because of the pandemic. Now, with the pandemic where it's at, when you're talking about Memorial Weekend and the 4th of July, that's going to be our true test. So, Mr. Moore, you might have a point. I don't know whether or not if we need to invest in having an officer downtown or whatever. That's an option. But we're talking about more money
Well, we're also talking about more personnel.
and personnel.
I think there are ways to require, usually it's based on the number of people that are at an establishment. I mean, there's some things that we can talk about, and I think we can try to be rather creative in the way that we address some of these challenges. So we'll commit to trying to think outside the box and come up with some hopefully good alternatives.
Yes, but don't turn away the business script. That is something that we asked for.
I think the motion carried with.
It did, 4-1, but I just do
But-
want to say
but-
again,
but
we heard
questions,
all of the concerns.
Okay. Item number 8 is public comment. I don't believe anyone has signed up. I'll
We
have
do,
that.
Mr. Alton Watkins
Yeah, we
here
do.
this evening.
Watermelon
Oh,
Festival.
I'm sorry. Well, Mr. Watson, the board voted several years ago for me to read this, this ruling, so I have to do it. The public comment period of 30 minutes provides an opportunity for residents to comment on any item included in the agenda or to address the town council on any other matter related to the town of Winterville. For an item included in the public hearing section of the agenda, residents should address the council at the time the mayor invites public comment on the item. No public comment may be made to the council during the meeting, except during the public comment period or as part of a public hearing. Individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and no more than 3 speakers may address the council on any single matter. The town council may elect to take no action on the matter addressed by a speaker, may schedule the matter for further consideration at a future council meeting, or may refer the matter to the town staff for disposition. Copies of the public hearing comment policy are available in the rear of the assembly room. Now, you can go proceed.
Thank you, Mayor, Town Council. Thank you for letting me take a few minutes to come here and talk with you. Let me get a little bit closer. Sorry about that. But thank you for the time to come here and talk with you tonight just a little bit. I will say that the Watermelon Festival Committee is very excited at this moment to let you know that we are planning to move forward with the festival, and it looks like the dates are going to be August 26th through the 28th. That will be a Thursday through Saturday. That may change depending on any of the changes with some of the COVID situations that may come up between now and then. We're hoping not. We're hoping that things are smoothing out and we're headed in the right direction. And so we can't tell you exactly what the festival is going to look like at this point, but we are hoping that things are going to be as close to normal as possible, but we also want to make sure that we keep people as safe as possible as well.
That's great news.
Okay, good.
This has been a very unusual year, as all of us know, full of uncertainty. But again, I think we are starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and we're ready to get some things back to the way it used to be, and I think our community is as well. We're trying to do everything the right way. Our committee has been in contact with Dr. John Silvernell's office, and Angela Manning, Pitt County's Environmental Health Director, has been advising us on how to proceed, I guess, making sure that we're following all the current guidelines. And the most current guidelines are like a moving target sometimes. It seems like things do change from time to time. But right now, we're looking at things based on the governor's executive order. The next phase is scheduled to begin on June 1st. So we are going to have to make some decisions at that point that we really can't make right now. There are a lot of unknowns. And that's part of why I'm here tonight, is because there are so many unknowns. In fact, part of the information that we got from them, if we were to try to have a festival right now with the way the current restrictions are, it looks like, for nothing else, limited space capacity right now for an outdoor venue or an outdoor concert venue. They're looking at 12 people per 1,000 square feet. So that's hardly anything. That wouldn't be enough to have a concert. Right now, the requirements also show that all patrons for the concert would have to be seated. That means we can't sell any tickets or have any standing room or general admission type tickets. Everybody would have to have a seat and stay in their spot. So with all those things being said, we are hoping that those limitations are going to loosen up with the next phase starting June 1st. They also expect, the way things are right now, that everyone would have to wear face coverings even outside. Excuse me, I'm sorry, it's strongly recommended that they wear face coverings outside. And it's also recommended that we, as the festival, provide face coverings, disposable face masks, for anyone who comes into the festival, not just the concert. But with that being said, like I said, we think things are going to change as of June 1st, and a lot of the restrictions will be loosened up. But because of these unknowns and a few other reasons that I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes, our committee felt like we needed to come before you tonight to ask for additional funding for the festival, with the understanding that if the funds are not used, the portion remaining or the full amount would be returned to the town after the festival is over and after all the bills are paid, just because of some of these unknowns that I'm going to tell you about. The first reason, I guess, that kind of goes along with the unknowns is that, like I said, we've been told there's a possibility of having to provide PPE for all the festival goers. That could include hand sanitizer. It could include hand washing stations, face masks, additional signage throughout the festival that we didn't budget for back in January of 2020. Ms. Robertson, you were very, very gracious to give me that information for the Grifton Mission, and I appreciate that. I have reached out to them a few times and had to leave messages, so I've not heard anything back from them as far as being able to help us help provide that kind of equipment for us. Not equipment, but the hand sanitizer and stuff like that. So we're not sure exactly how much we would have to purchase as a committee, and that's where that part of it was coming from. We're also very concerned that our sponsorship is going to be greatly reduced this year. Here we are in May. We start soliciting for sponsors in January, so we're 4, almost 5 months behind in that part of it. So it's going to have to be hurry up and get a lot of sponsors in a short period of time. Also, we've already reached out to a few sponsors who have told us no, some who have been with us a long period of time over the past several years who are not able to help us this time. So we are looking at not having as many sponsors. And then finally, the third reason that we would like to request the additional funds is that we would like to offer a free concert for the community this year. For the past several years, we've sold tickets. We've had a really good turnout for each of those paid concerts. But we feel like that this year, because of everything that everyone has gone through over the past year, that it's time for us to, if we could, to give something back to the community, something that they would be looking forward to. And I know our community is ready to get out, and everybody that I've talked to is very much looking forward to the festival this year. So with all that being said, I know this is a very unusual request, and this is very last minute and very unexpected. As a committee, we didn't plan on coming to you asking for additional funds for this year. Our plan was to take what we had and then move forward with that until we realized that there was a possibility of all these extra expenses that we were unaware of until now. But the committee would like to request that an additional $20,000 be allocated to the festival, with the understanding that whatever's not used of that $20,000 would be returned once the festival was over. And I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you may have based on that.
Alton, I've got one. This is not 20 in addition to you all requesting your 50. It's not 70.
It would be 50, the 50 that we've already got from 2020, then it
Right.
would be 20,000 additional at this
I
point.
just wanted to be clear, you're not
Yes.
requesting another 50 for
Oh,
this
no.
upcoming budget year. You're only requesting 20.
For the current year, yes.
I mean, for the current year, yes.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. You went 7 minutes, so that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have
At this
a,
point, I don't think we need a motion or anything.
I have a question, Alton.
Okay.
I know you was talking about sponsorship and everything being limited, and which is understandable, being a pandemic year, everybody's taking hits, whatnot. I hate to even bring this up because, we just was on this subject a while ago, but have y'all ever thought about a beer garden?
It has been mentioned to us.
And the reason I said it because, again, we have breweries in town, and maybe, having the breweries come out and pitch their products out there in a controlled environment. I've seen plenty of festivals that do have beer gardens. As a matter of fact, probably going to be heading to a festival in Myrtle Beach, Blue Crab, one of the oldest festival it is, in Little River this weekend. So, and they have refreshments for people. It's a controlled area. But that's a way to help offset some of your costs. Maybe y'all can work with them, to try to help get something back so you don't have to keep coming to us for money. I'm just trying to think out of the box. It's a one-time deal, the festival, so,
See, I said Greenville is even allowing beer at the town common.
Town Commons, right, yeah. And I think their concert on the Commons is coming up sometime in June with the chairman, I think, as their first act. I thought I heard on the radio or something, sponsored by 90-something, I don't know, yeah.
But that's definitely something that's been mentioned over the past years. We've not done anything to pursue that
Mhm.
in the past. It's something that could possibly be a fund generator. I really can't speak on that from a funding standpoint. I'm not sure exactly what percentage
Mhm.
that we would get versus the breweries or anything like that. But
I just said the breweries, but if you could, I don't know, whoever you could work it out with, to have a beer garden where y'all could recoup some of the revenue from the beer garden,
I would be against any funding for a brewery or at a family event. You don't bring your children around people who drink beer. That's not a place for children. If you want to be a family community, it's like the good life. I can't see drinking as a good life. Too many people have addictions. There's a guy coming, building out a facility in Pitt County for $36 million. It's going to take 2 years to build it. We've got too many people drinking too much already. So if you want to have children there, if you don't have children, fine. But look what it brings at the cost. It brings to our families. It's the decay of our families. That's part of the decay. And those who go along with that are the K&I families.
Well, the festival, it's always been, you know, a family-friendly event. We open it up to everybody. And we hope that everybody who comes, you know, has something that they enjoy and can really, you know, take part in the festival and just bring other people into Winterville and let them see what we have here. So, you know, I'm open to anything as far as that goes. Like I said, we've never pursued a beer garden in the past, but as a council, if that's something that you would want us to look at, we can get somebody who can speak on that, you know, a whole lot better than I can. So I'll be glad to you know, get the right person to talk with you about that if you're interested in doing that.
My question is, you said that the $20,000, if you would receive this from the town, will be used only towards PPE?
Oh, no.
I'm asking that.
Oh, no,
That's what
sir.
I'm asking that. Could you make that happen if that was the case?
Well, it may be that we wind up not having to do that, because it may be with the June 1st phase that starts, there may not be any restrictions at all outside. And that may be the way that Greenville is planning to move forward with their concerts and stuff. I'm just basing things on what we have to deal with right now.
There'll be a lot less restrictions by then.
All right.
So then, if that's the case, you wouldn't need an increase then? You'd be back to normal? That's what I'm asking.
Well, it'll be closer if we're not getting the roughly $40,000 in personal sponsorships that we normally get, then we'll be lacking funds that way as well. Because we normally get, our budget is based on the money that we get from the town, plus usually $40,000 to $45,000 in business and personal sponsorships. And right now, the personal sponsorships it's at zero because we haven't been able to start yet, because we couldn't promise anybody what we had to offer. And hopefully as of June 1st, we'll know more, and we'll be able to say, you know, for your sponsorship, we're going to be here, we're going to be doing this, this, and this, that we just can't guarantee right now. And for some of the bigger sponsors that we've reached out to and have been told no, I'm not going to mention any of their names, but one specifically has been with us for years. I mean, it's been something, a big part of the festival. And just because of their financial situation this year, they're telling us no. I don't think this is going to be a need for the future. I think just because of the pandemic and things that we've gone through, that's the whole reason for even coming here to start with tonight. And it may be that if nothing is needed, like I said, it can be returned, and it's more of a safety net, I guess. That's the way I was looking at it.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure can.
So, I think we need to nail down whether there are any restrictions on the request or not, because I see it as highly unlikely you guys would be returning that money.
Yeah, that's what I see.
And I don't really want to put that out there if in fact it's highly unlikely y'all would return that money, because if it's not going to be tied to COVID-related expenses, which I understand you've got some shortfalls in other revenues. If you've got shortfalls in other revenues, it would be highly unlikely you all would be returning that money unless the festival didn't happen. Is that a fair statement?
Not necessarily, because we have budgeted pretty well over the years, and we've got a little bit that we've set aside right now, and we're trying to cut costs here and there to make the festival still as good as possible, but we're trying to save as much money as possible also.
Sure. So, and you would need that, you would want that money in this current fiscal year,
That's correct.
not the new budget year. So we currently don't have anything, we didn't have anything budgeted as an allocation for the Watermelon Festival for 2021. So it would be a budget amendment necessary. And then I said a couple things, but I added one while we were chatting. Let me
Okay.
think of what it was real quick. Ooh, it left me. 20,000 this year. I don't know what the other thing was.
Was it the 50,000 that they normally get? Was
thought
that
we had
still on your radar?
I thought we had $70,000 this past year.
No.
No.
It was 50.
There was-
50.
In this current budget year, there
50.
wasn't anything.
That's right. The money left over from last year.
Right.
Right.
They
How much
kept
was
their
that?
50.
50.
Right.
Okay.
How about the money coming in from the CARES stuff with the federal government on the COVID stuff?
Well, I have an update on that. It is restricted.
Right.
There's a 151 page, and I'll get to that later in the meeting, but it's very interesting and timely. The guidance came down today from the federal government. It is 151 pages of guidance. Needless to say, I haven't had a chance to review that yet, but hopefully there'll be some school of government, some tailoring down, and I am scheduled to attend a workshop tomorrow to try to, where they start to go over what some of it means, but it is going to be restricted. So I don't remember what the third thing was, Alton, I'm sorry.
I make a motion, we appropriate $20,000 of this year's budget for the festival. It's a good event for our community.
I second the 20,000.
Have a motion and a second for 20,000 this year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can I
Okay.
ask something? Would that be with the restrictions still? Just to make sure that everybody was clear. The restriction of returning the money.
No,
It's not
no
you.
restrictions. None.
Okay,
Time to vote.
I'll pull the board, starting with Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Moy,
No.
and Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Mayor and council, I believe we have 4 votes in favor of the motion and 1 against, so motion passes.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight.
I appreciate the festival's work in trying to pull together this activity for our community this year. It's part of moving back to normal that we're all trying to do. And I think that will help our community in the celebration.
We're definitely looking forward to putting this on this year.
And I like to add on to the reason why I voted no was because if it was restricted towards PPE, I would support it. I do believe that, sometimes you have to work with what you have.
That's true.
And especially, you're talking about entertainment. But for life protection, I would support that 100%.
I thought of what my question was. May I ask it?
Yeah.
Okay. Alton, what's the likelihood that it goes from a 3-day event to a 4-day event or a 5-day event so that we can plan accordingly internally?
Nothing has been said to me about extending the event at all.
So we can feel fairly confident it'll remain a
Thursday,
3-day
Friday,
event?
and Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Now,
Thank
the
you.
Aiden went to 2 days, right?
They did. Well, in fact, is Aiden 2 days or 1 day?
2 days now.
Is it?
The paper,
2
the
days.
newspaper said that, and that's not always
Yeah.
true, but it says 2 days.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see that they're able to have something as well. I think, our whole community, not just Winterville, but everybody has gone through so much over the past year. We
Yes,
missed out on so
yes,
much.
we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
This weekend.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this past weekend.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alton. All right. Okay, moving on to item number 9 is the consent agenda
So
or any
moved.
items.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Councilwoman Robertson to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
Any discussion? Mayor, may I poll the board? Starting with Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
I believe we have votes all in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, moving on, item number 10, under old business is downtown parking. We've had quite a discussion already on that.
I just wanted to, I promised you all an update on staff's, what we've been doing since our last meeting. I asked Brian, his department, with Haley Robinson, our intern, they put together a parking map of current areas for parking. This includes Railroad Street, where we're gonna increase the markings and parking spaces. And we believe in the areas that are depicted. Now, the individual dots do not denote individual spaces, right, Brian?
That's right.
It's just it just denotes the area.
Just the general areas.
Okay, and I believe, in the area denoted, we anticipate 263 parking spaces within our current areas for parking. This will include the additional striping that Ben's working with company now to come in and restripe areas that need restriping and then add additional places. In the abstract, I don't have it in front of me, but I tried to lay out staff's approach to the parking plan / project. It encompasses 3 phases. Those don't have to happen one at a time. Work can be done on these phases simultaneously, but obviously it includes working on our current areas that we have parking available. That will include restriping and adding striping or markings accordingly. An additional phase or another phase includes trying to take property we already own in the area and increase the amount of parking spaces we have. That would be our market property where we already had plans for additional spaces, and also our land that is otherwise known as Water Tower Park, and the previous plan that was put together to add parking there. We've also got Church Street behind Town Hall that's currently one way, and we've talked about reconfiguration of that street, and we're trying to weigh the pros and cons of putting that back to a 2-way flow of traffic, but that would take away some of that diagonal parking behind the public safety building. So we're looking at all of those options. And then the third option would involve approaching current business owners that have parking that might be utilized after certain hours, strike some agreement where we could utilize that parking, make it available, and then also talk to some landowners in the downtown area to see if they'd be interested in selling their property for the purposes of additional parking. Obviously, as we're working simultaneously on all the 3 phases, then we're also looking at how we might utilize signage and kiosks and things of that nature, in addition to our social media platforms, website, to try to inform patrons, citizens coming into town where public parking is available so that people will know where to go. And we also know there are going to be some areas that lighting may be, either we need additional lighting or lighting needs to be increased so that people feel safe walking in and around the areas that we're working on. So we're trying to take a comprehensive approach. We know that some of these things we can do right away. You'll see some of these additional spaces being marked in the very near future. Some of the other things like land acquisition will take a little longer, but we will continue to update council as we move forward with those, and certainly stand ready to hear any suggestions or comments you might have on our plan.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
Terry
Yes.
asked a question. Of course, I know you said you had drilled down into this American Rescue Plan, but as far as like cameras in the downtown area and the police little locker thing, chief, you know what I'm talking about, where they can pick up and call, you know, for service. You know, since we're gonna have a lot of pedestrians,
Right.
you know, moving freely about, you know.
Can certainly look at all of
Yeah,
those
and that's,
things.
yeah, that's, if we could see if we could get some of them things out of this plan here, maybe to enhance, Mr. Moore, our downtown safety.
Well, a few years ago, I made a mistake in one of my votes. We had a 3-2 vote by the board, and I voted the wrong way. We were asked about to put 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on Mill Street, and I voted against that. That was a mistake. I look back at that now, because most downtowns you start at 25 miles an hour. And may want to look at that again about asking the state whether they reduce it back from 35 to 25. That would help the downtown area. It's really too fast. Unless you go to crosswalks, it's pretty dangerous to cross it. Now, that was a mistake I made. I have to eat my own cross.
We also talked about, along those very same lines, is the need for crosswalks in areas that people would not cross the tracks any more than absolutely necessary, because theoretically and technically they're not supposed to be doing that. So we know that that's going to involve some of the things council's been talking about a long time, some of these crosswalks.
That was on the agenda years ago to have one in front of the police department,
Yes.
and you need another one from the library. But if you walk to my house and go around, and it's still not cleaned up at the railroad track intersection of Cooper. That stuff is still on the gravel there. And there's no place to walk around. It's difficult for walking traffic.
Well,
People don't realize early in the morning at 5:30, how many people walk in downtown Winterville at 5:30.
A lot of walkers.
And crowds of them on Saturday mornings.
So we know all of these things go hand in hand, so obviously it's gonna take a concerted effort, and we'll try to look for funds every place we can. I know there's a lot of chomping at the bit regarding this American Rescue Recovery money, but we have a set amount we'll be receiving. We'll receive half of it this month, and then the last half a year from now. So if I recall that correctly, I believe it'll be 12 months from when we get the first half. Don's shaking his head. So
You read it all yet?
there's a lot of needs for those funds, and depending on what they're gonna let us do with it, it'll go quickly. But we'll try to figure out what we can use it for, and be back with you soon on a report on that. And I'm happy to share I'll send the email for those of you that didn't get it from the league, so you can peruse the 151 pages as well. Does that sound like an appropriate plan on the parking project?
At least we're trying to do something about it.
Yes, and we want to.
And also too, you would share that with the current patrons, the bar owners
Yes,
and restaurant
absolutely.
owners, so they can notify their people that's coming in, or have it placed somewhere in their
Yes.
establishment where people can see, and that will help also, so people can know where to park. Okay.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Any more discussion on the parking?
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, item number 2 is the cost participation in the Eli Ridge subdivision lift station.
Here comes the masked Ben Williams.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I apologize, the title of the abstract may be slightly inaccurate and a little misleading. It is because we had something similar to this before with the Eli's Ridge subdivision, but this is related to Christ Covenant and their sewer, their next phase of expansion of their campus off of Worthington Road. Their need to, as we agreed to in their first phase, the sewer there from the existing campus goes under Worthington Road to our Winterville Crossing pump station. We allowed that, but with the understanding that there are future phases, the flow would be directed to the new regional pump station because that Winterville Crossing was getting near capacity. Plus, we had this new pump station that was right there. It made sense to direct that flow to that one instead of going to Winterville Crossing, then pumping to Forbes Avenue, then pumping down to Church Street. The Christ Covenant School is preparing for their next expansion, and will have to install that gravity from their campus to the new lift station. However, they have a certain size and depth that would accommodate their plans. But we, as we did with Eli's Ridge, would like to, and we've been negotiating and talking with them about a increased diameter of that pipe and depth that would allow us to in the future, extend the gravity line up to Winterville Crossing Pump Station, and that would allow us to abandon that pump station, taking all of that flow, sending it to the new regional station. It's a good opportunity to be able to do that. We were able to build the new regional pump station off Old Tar Road at a depth and have that invert coming in such that we would be able to reach Winterville Crossing with this. So the estimates that have come in from the engineer for the school estimate the cost for the sewer that is needed just for Christ Covenant to be approximately $235,565. The estimate for installing the larger diameter, deeper gravity main is approximately $308,270. So the difference would be about $72,705. Now that's based on engineer's estimate. By participating in this, we would be in position to, in a future phase, extend that gravity line on under Worthington Road and tie into the pump station. That leg of the project is estimated to be about an additional $250,000. So what we are asking for tonight is similar to Eli's Ridge. We would agree to continue moving forward with a cost share, cost participation, with the understanding that the final official cost that the town would take on would be based on actual cost from bids received from the contractor that's going to be doing that work for Christ Covenant.
Ben, is there any autism centers that come about very soon?
So ACES would also be utilizing a portion of that gravity sewer that would be installed in this phase right here. So there is there's a lot of parts and pieces working together, but Christ Covenant is the one that's leading the charge with regard to those two campuses.
I'm hearing that the ACES to be built soon,
I think they are
moving forward.
getting in the short rows with regard to that, yes, sir. So with the regional pump station, we were able to abandon the Craft Winds pump station. So if we were able to take two old stations offline with the utilization of the new regional pump station, it would also help staff from not having to go check that station all the time. We've had some issues with the components in that station. It is prone to flooding due to it being down there in that bottom by the cul-de-sac along that lateral. But also it would take flow off of Forbes Avenue, which would then allow or delay even some improvements, pump upgrades, things of that nature at that pump station as well.
So what do you want from us?
No choice.
I would say we're recommending approval of a cost share, working out a cost share agreement with Christ Covenant, understanding that the exact cost would be based on bids received and final cost of construction.
I agree. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to follow the staff's recommendation. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Mayor, I polled the board.
Right.
Starting with Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
I believe we have votes all in favor of moving forward with putting together a cost participation agreement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty, item number 11 is new business.
Yes, Mayor, at this time, I would like to make a motion that we do a 3% increase for our town manager. I'm correct, Mr. Lassner? 3%, okay? because of all her synergy that she has provided during this pandemic. And tonight, her display of keeping us all together on some hot topics, so.
Second motion.
Make
One
sure
thing
that everybody understands the motion. How about it, repeat it, King?
Well, it sounds like the motion was to give the town manager a 3% increase to her salary. One thing that was mentioned earlier, I'll throw it back out, is this, as I understand, the board last month voted to give employees a 2.5 COLA increase. Is this 3% on top of that, or is it is it the 2.5 plus the 0.5?
I took it to mean 2.5 plus,
2.5 plus.
plus
Correct.
that.
Okay.
Correct.
Because we don't, merit. We don't
Right.
Do merit for it.
Okay.
My
Okay.
motion stands.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
And a second. Discussion. I think we've had that. All in favor of the motion?
Hold the board. Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes?
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Moy,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
I believe there are votes in favor of the motion, 4-1.
Okay. Item number 12 is other agenda items. All right, item number 13, items for future agendas or work sessions. And I think we've got those under announcements. Pretty much.
I got a question. Those things that, I questioned about last meeting, those things will be reported on every quarter?
Yes,
Those
ma'am.
items?
You will receive a report in June.
Okay,
It will be the next one.
okay.
All righty. Item number 14 are announcements.
Catching up there for a second. Excuse me. And now I'm lost. Here it is. Okay, we have several announcements. Planning Board will meet Monday, May 17th, and just sort of as applied tonight, our meetings will start to be limited attendance, but we're still, at this point, we'll be having them still on the Zoom platform. So people, we can have some limited people in, as you see, but the Zoom will still continue. Board of Adjustment will meet on Tuesday, May the 18th. Then the Town Council will meet for the first budget work session on Tuesday, May 25th. And then as was distributed in an email, we had to change due to the CMSD. So the second one will be on Thursday, May the 27th, here, both of those here in Town Hall Assembly Room. Town offices will be closed on Monday, May 31st for Memorial Day. And then the budget public hearing is scheduled for Monday, June the 7th, here in Town Hall Assembly Room. There are a couple things that I might add since I've got the mic. We came up last meeting about voting. I've spoken with the election board, and it looks like things are on as usual, and that would mean that opening to sign up would be at noon on July the 2nd, and that would close on July the 16th. And in speaking with Dave, he was in agreement with your all's understanding of 1 week of one-stop voting.
The 16th to 12 o'clock, too.
Yes, noon on the 16th is when it would end. And just a little reminder, you'll be getting some information from me. Electric Cities is in, this year, they're planning to have it, so I will be providing y'all with information. would ask if you'd get back with me, because we want to go on and lock in as much information as possible. I'll get you all the dates and
No
everything.
dates tonight? No dates tonight?
Uh,
Guys have dates?
I have them.
16th, 17th, and 18th.
All right.
So what? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Where at?
Hilton Head.
And what month?
And just,
We all want to go. No, August 16th.
yes, it is, 16th, 17th, 18th, thank you, Councilman Smith. And it is at Hilton Head. It is the Sonesta Resort in Hilton Head. And I'll give you all that. There is a tentative agenda, so on and so forth. I'll get that out to you next day or so.
For the record, I won't be attending. I'm going to make it available to both the assistant town manager and the electric director.
We'll miss you.
Oh, I'll miss y'all too.
I'll probably be here with you.
You need to keep us in line. Y'all help me get.
Thank you for
Y'all as
that,
well.
for bearing with me on those couple extra things.
Okay, moving on, reports from counselor?
No reports tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, everyone, being in person. It's nice, everybody here, having Zoom also. At least the public can come. I am concerned about our town. My fear as a longtime educator, looking through history, what happens if you don't prepare for the future. Our forefathers did not prepare our downtown. We have a small downtown, I agree. And just bear with me, do the best we can. Thank you, y'all do.
Mr. Robinson?
I'd just like to thank everyone for continuing to do what they're doing. Police chief, I've had to contact you a whole lot, but, you know, I think that it's worth it to let you know what's going on. And thank the whole board for everything that we're doing to keep our town straight now and moving back to normal. And everybody get your shot.
Mr. Smith?
Good comment, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
I'd like to say that, you know, during this pandemic, I think it was not only just the town manager position, but it was a team effort from everyone. That's the reason why I believe that everyone deserved the same out of the situation, because we just couldn't do it by ourselves. It took the whole staff, each department, to work through this, and that's the reason why I chose to vote the way I did.
Mr. Hines?
Motion to adjourn.
Before I ask for a second, how about Ms. Manager?
I certainly don't have any comments.
And I will not have any either. We do have a motion for adjournment.
Would you like me to poll the board quickly?
Yes.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Robertson? Councilman Smith? Councilman Boyd?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines?
Yes.
We stand adjourned.
Thank you, Veronica.
Sorry, Terry, I didn't know if you had something you wanted to say.